and we haven't made it any easier for them. And of course, the public that are sitting through these things, at least those of you who can tolerate it. Anyway, thanks much. I'm going to open the meeting with our normal prayer, Pledge of Allegiance, and a civility pledge, if you will hang on with me. The Serenity prayer was composed by a Lutheran theologian in 1932. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Our Pledge of Allegiance was written by a Baptist minister in 1892. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice and liberty for all. Civility Pledge was put together by a committee of the Municipal Association of South Carolina, and I'll just leave it there. I pledge to build a stronger and more prosperous community by advocating for civil engagement, respecting others and their viewpoints, and finding solutions to the betterment of our town. Okay? I'd like to call this meeting to order and go through a roll call. My name is Dave Osgathorpe, or JD. The John on there is my father's name. Kelly Casino, are you here and can you introduce yourself? Kelly?
Yes, I'm here. Kelly Kuzina.
Jay Reichert, are you here and will you introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm here, Jay Reigart.
I can see Jeff Hardy. Would you please introduce yourself?
Jeff Hardy, I'm here.
All right. And James Gardner. Okay. I'd like to acknowledge our planner, Diane O'Hara, without whom this meeting would not take place, and Takia White, and that's the same comment. Without them, we would not be here tonight. Our administrator, Catherine Watkins, who keeps us in line. She doesn't have a whip, but looks like it. And she is Catherine Watkins, and she is here. And our lawyer, Mac McQuillan, is still putting up with us. So he is here. Are there any conflict of interest or requests for recusal from the members of the committee?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, we will proceed. May I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to open public hearing.
I'll second it.
Second.
All in
Third.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're having a public hearing for the request on road and easement name approvals. They're pursuant to two codes, basically a South Carolina code and a town code. But keep in mind that many of the requirements here are satisfied by Charleston County, such as EMS and those. There's a heck of a lot of paperwork in these name changes, and our staff have been through them. I'm going to defer to our planner, Dan, for the rest of this hearing. Dan.
Takia has prepared the staff report for this one. So Takia, if you would like to go ahead and go over your staff report for this.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, commissioners. Tonight before you have a public hearing for the approval of road and easement names. Under SE Code 6-29-1200 and Town Code 153.004, street and easement names within the town's jurisdiction require approval by the Planning Commission to ensure clarity for emergency response, postal delivery, navigation, and long-term records management. This item aligns town practice with state law and local code by formally vetting and approving names prior to final addressing and plat recordation. Before you have three road names. Really, they're more so easements that were created in the town of Allendale. Settlers Bluff is the newest, and Finnegan's Way, followed by Finnegan's Way. Roykesha Drive has been already in town for a while. This request is simply for the approval of these names. They have been vetted by 911 Consolidated, and there are no conflicts. They're unique names to our area, and we just ask that you guys kindly give them approval so they can help us with our record keeping and the establishment of our roads and easements in Allendale.
All right, that is our staff report. We can have the applicant presentations. Applicants need to state their name and address. And if the commissioners have any questions, you can address them with that. Speech is limited to 3 minutes each. Takia, do you have anybody waiting to speak? Dan, you have anything?
I'm checking the chat room now to see if it's anyone.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone the last one I went down there, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, as of right now, I have no public comments.
All right, hearing no public comments, the public meeting is now closed. We will go back to the agenda. The commissioners will vote on what was presented at our new business later on in the meeting.
A point of correction, Chairperson, there should be
Sure.
a motion to close the public hearing.
I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved, James Gardner.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, folks. Well, we have next order of business is our minutes from the first of our 3 meetings this month, January 12th. Do any of the commissioners have anything they want to say about this, or should we just make a motion to move for a vote? Any
I have
corrections, additions?
I have one correction.
Okay, what is it?
All right, it's on the second page of the minutes. The very last paragraph before vested rights draft ordinance where it says planning commission, I'd like to change that to town instead of planning commission. Yes, that paragraph.
Well, that is
Nice.
correct, and it's fine with me. Dan, any comments?
Kelly, would you state that note for me one more time, please, ma'am?
Sure. To change in that last paragraph under item D, old business, to change the planning commission to the town.
Commissioners, any other comments? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the January 12th meetings as written and corrected?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected or as revised as noted.
Okay.
I'll
Any-
second it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next portion of the meeting is public comments. The public comments can be on anything. That's your choice. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. They can repeat if there is no one else waiting to speak. At the end of the 25 minutes, this will end. And our planner, Dan O'Hara, will be the timekeeper on this and the referee. So if you'd like to speak during the comment period, if you're put your name in the chat room, speak up, or otherwise let Dan O'Hara know that you want to speak, and then tell us your name, your address, and address whatever you wish. This meeting tonight, remember, is about plan development. So if there's anything particular on that, hey, give it to us. Well, what are you doing on the chat room there, Dan? Is it Bear?
It appears that there have been no comments made or names.
Takia, did we receive any before the meeting written?
No, sir, we did not.
Okay. All right. Hearing none, public hearing public comment section is closed. May I have a motion to close it?
So moved, James Gardner.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we are on to the meat of this, which is the plan development regulations under old business. I would like to start off by reminding folks that perfect is the enemy of good. We're trying for a good regulation. So this will be the third time we've been through this. We still have some ways to go, but let's try to get as far as we can tonight. And if it looks good, it's good. Perfection, no. All right.
I have one comment.
Well, there'll be a lot of comments, but I would take.
Well, no, before you even get started,
Oh, okay. Great.
I was asked to revise item K on the stormwater plan.
Yeah.
And I'll have to say I was negligent on that. But I can craft something up here while y'all start the other discussions, and maybe by the time we get there, I'll have something to go in there. To propose to go in there anyway.
Propose to go in there. Okay. I'm with you. All right. I'd like to remind folks that this plan development ordinance has caused us some grief in this city. There have been 28 since the year 2000. My estimation is that 2 of them are valid. Plan development meeting the state criteria. We have badly got to get back on course, and folks know that there's a lot of current ones that are currently underway around here, the Bear areas. Anyway, these amendments that we've got will specify that the land to be mixed use, which it has not been enforced before. We're going to emphasize environmental preservation. We're going to have a mandatory traffic analysis. We're trying to modify some of the language to be in concert with our comprehensive plan. And this will be our third set of revisions trying to get this thing right. We have had legal counsel, thank God, with us each step of the way, and they have been needed. All right, the way I propose to do this is a multi-page document, and if each one of us goes through the whole thing, it's going to be very hard for the staff to keep up, and going back and forth from pages and sections and so on. It just increases the confusion. So how we're going to do this is we're going to do 1 page at a time. And when we all agree on that page, then we'll move on to the next one. And I think that's probably the fastest way to get this thing through and to keep our staff from going crazy trying to figure out where we are. An open discussion with the first page, which is.
Chair, I would also like to add to, if there are any amendments or anything that you would like to change and have an official vote, it's easier for us with a motion and a second and then a vote following, so that we can accurately keep track of it.
Absolutely. Page 1, proposed ordinance 153-045. We have made a number of changes on this page, the most prominent being specifying that it's mixed use only, as the state law requires. And it's the intent that the public plan development should be used sparingly and only when another zone does not suffice. I have, for my part, no changes on that page. Let's go on down the list. Jay, well, you're working on things. Kelly.
No, I don't have anything on this page.
James.
Nothing.
Jeff.
Nothing.
Jay, are you still with us or have you tuned us out? Out. Okay.
I'm listening. I don't have any comments on this page.
Okay. All right. Let's move to page 2. All right. This starts off with applicability, and we have a couple of changes here that were proposed by Kelly on a PD map. That's perfectly fine. And then I need to give you some background information. And this was more for my edification. Probably some of you know this like the back of your hand. And that is, we had 3 different designations of upland or developable land that we put in this document. And that's my fault, because after we proposed the second one, I probably should have said, stop, we need one definition. Our planner, using what's very common in state rec land, has used the gross net designation. We don't have to use that, but we need to have the same thing each one of these times. We got 2 more times coming up, so let's settle on the language now. I want to read the definition of gross upland property. It refers to the total surveyed area of a dry, buildable land. It excludes wetlands and waterways. And net upland property is the usable acreage remaining after deducting the non-buildable areas, in other words, building houses, like roads, easements, and setbacks. You pay taxes to the county and the city on your gross land. If you're selling your property or a developer's buying it, they're more interested in the net where they can put the house. All right. So there you are, gross, net. And you've also got, we had undisturbed upland, unchanged, but whatever. We'll see them as we go along. But Dan, would you weigh in on your preferred language? Dan, you with us?
Yes, sorry, I was writing a few things down. Gross upland, I believe the original was net upland. Staff's recommendation was to change that to gross for the consideration of what we would consider developable area. Taking into consideration our new wetland ordinance, which heavily restricts, wet areas and wetlands. So I think from our standpoint, gross upland would make more sense in that regard. Net upland, I believe, is what was proposed originally. I can go back and look at that section. Yeah, so net upland was the original language in the document. Staff recommended that change to gross. I'm also open to whatever the Planning Commission considers here.
All right. And I'm in favor of that change, but we've got other people to go through. Kelly, we're on that second page. Anything on it?
No, so you're saying, Dan, that under minimum size for a PD district, it would be 15 acres of gross upland?
I think that, it just kind of like, yeah, I mean,
That's what he's saying.
it is strange when we talk about the different sections and how they apply, but there's like undisturbed upland, there's gross upland, and then I think there was another version, non-converted upland.
Yep.
In the document. So I think out of continuity, if Planning Commission can establish or pinpoint one defined term of what we're looking at, I mean, minimum size, I think that one should be a little bit more broader, because when we're thinking about an actual parcel, you may have 15 acres, but what of that 15 acres is actually developable? So in my personal opinion, that one should be a lot broader. And then once we bring it down in other areas, it should be more refined, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense. I'm just clarifying that was the proposed language change that highlighted piece on this page would go from undisturbed upland to gross upland.
Correct.
And okay. Yep. No, that makes sense to me. I agree with what you're saying, Dan.
James.
My only thing is it may get confusing to folks, gross and net and undisturbed and whatever we do, if we're not just using one term for upland in the entire document. I don't notice a definitions section in there, but do we need to make a definition section with just that one definition in it so they know what we're talking about specifically?
Yes.
Yeah, there will be a definition session.
Isn't there one I would put that I would consolidate it with the general definition section of the zoning code. Yeah.
Okay, Jeff. Earth calling Jeff.
Sorry, I was muted. I agree with that.
Okay. Jay, you still hanging in?
Of course. Gross upland versus net upland. Again, I'm sorry, Dan. How does filled wetlands fit into that?
So I think the intent would be, similarly, if you think about your paycheck, you get a gross paycheck and a net paycheck before Uncle Sam and any kind of healthcare deductions come out. Your gross pay is one number, net pay is another. So gross should consider the lot as is total area. And then net would come into later after development and that discussion takes place.
Okay.
If that analogy makes sense.
So the net could be either more or less upland?
Depending on the development plan and what's being proposed, yes, it could.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think I'm good with that.
All right, I would accept a motion from one of the committee to change the language of undisturbed upland to gross upland and to move that verbiage through the document. Anybody?
Sure, I'll make a motion. I'd rather just make the motion here. I think,
Okay.
we may want to use a different term later on. So I'd make a motion that we revise the minimum size for a PD district to be 15 acres of gross upland rather than undisturbed upland.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All right, so page 3 of this document,
And
which is,
let me interrupt you real quick,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. We have a community member that had a question. I'm not sure the best way to
no,
address
that's
her
not the way to
comment.
do it. We had the public section of the hearing and no. We're only working with members of the commission right now,
Okay.
as our meetings per usual. Okay, so page 3, in our main document, it's page 22 of 29. Everybody with me on this? We have, fortunately, a gross upland there that we don't have to change. I have one thing I'm going to defer to Kelly on, and that is that she wanted us to add some dimensions, I guess minimum dimensions, to the open space that we have in here, which is 20%. Kelly also submitted to the committee a recommendation on how we should put together an ordinance on planned open space, and it looks great. And she agrees that should be best served as a separate ordinance to which we can refer to on all of our subsequent zones. We can say, okay, agricultural zone, it should be 50% or 20% or whatever, and then refer to that ordinance as to what you can do with it. And on commercial, it may be 10%. But we can put that in the ordinance itself, but the open space ordinance will be referred to for all the definitions of what you can do with it, what qualifies for it, and the rest. And we'll be taking that up in the really reasonably near future. But I'll let her talk about the dimensions. And then we have impervious surface limitations. And we have 3 alternatives submitted to us by Dan. He favors the North Myrtle Beach definition. I have a feeling that Jay may have some comments on this. And we also have on the impervious surface, we've got non-converted upland. So in 5, we've got gross upland, and then on 6, we got non-converted upland. So I think we should change that one back to gross, but okay. I've had my say. Kelly.
Sure. So the open space, I do think that we need to have a more comprehensive open space ordinance that applies to all new developments. However, this plan development ordinance is going to track obviously before we get to that. So I do think it's important to keep at least some minimum standards in there for open space. One of those being minimum dimensions of open space to make sure that these are actually usable areas and not just remnants of land that people are just, have left over. And I do also think we need a comprehensive list of not only what doesn't count as open space, but what does count as open space. So let's tell people what we want to see when we're talking. What are we talking about when we talk about open space? What constitutes open space and what doesn't? And so both of those are proposed in this secondary document under, let's see, the page that Dan has pulled up. 5B minimum dimensions, I've proposed here at least 20 feet in width and at least 500 square feet in area. And then paragraphs D and E are areas counted as open space and not counted as open space. I know we may have some differing opinions on what we should count as open space, but this was really just a starting point for conversation.
All right, so you want us to adopt those dimensions in this current ordinance. And we obviously don't want to bring over your whole open space proposal. And how much do you want us to get into a discussion on this ordinance in particular rather than your main document?
Well, I mean, unless the commission feels differently, I don't think that we need to necessarily incorporate all of this into the PD ordinance. Aside from the three that I just mentioned, the dimensions and the areas counted and not counted.
Well, we agree on that. It would get kind of cumbersome. And besides, we need to be able to refer to some common document on open space when we do the rest of our zones, or we'll have to readdress this with each zone, which will get kind of repetitive.
Absolutely. So I've proposed here under areas counted as open space that certain, I've called them resource protection areas, which include marsh, wetlands, historical and cultural resources, natural water bodies, can count as open space, but only up to, I think it's 50% of required open space. I'm again just putting that out there for discussion. Other things that would count: vegetated, low impact development, stormwater management features. I've proposed to count perimeter buffers up to 25%, and then active and passive recreational areas. And there's actually another sentence where I've suggested that open space has to be at least 50% recreation area. So just looking for feedback from how everybody feels about that. If y'all would just prefer to do a simple list of, what couple of things that count, and maybe not do, these up to a certain percentage or that sort of thing. I'm open to any ideas and suggestions.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful. I think if we get into a discussion on whether we want to count wetlands and marsh areas as open space, we'll take some time.
Okay, so maybe we just eliminate number 5 there. Let's see, 5D5. How do y'all feel about that? So we would
I
count.
support that.
So we would count recreational areas, required perimeter buffers up to 25% of open space, and low impact development features. And that could be a limiting list. Like, this is only these things count as open space, and then that would make our what doesn't count list a lot easier.
Right. So you say just eliminate 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. How about James?
So help me understand this one that says draft on the open space standards. This would be placed somewhere else in our zoning, and then each type of zoning would just reference this as the standard of what we consider open space.
Correct.
Okay. So then in my mind, it's tricky to put. I was kind of thinking leave 5D5 in there with a lower percentage possibly, but I like the idea of it because those are nice places. Those are places that can be enjoyed and people can recreate in those spaces. Um, I don't see why we wouldn't, but that percentage would be different in a planned development than it would be in a residential, than it would be in a commercial. So if we did reference one open space regulation somewhere or another in the zoning, and reference it in every different zoning category that we have, we would almost have to have different percentages and different acceptabilities listed out in this one specific open space zoning draft document that differentiated between zones, because we wouldn't want and we wouldn't need exact same open space in every zoning, more than likely. Does that make sense? And how would
Yeah,
we
and
do that?
That is the
I agree.
intention. That is the
Yeah.
intention. We'll write into the ordinance how much open space we want, and then the standards will tell you what you can do with that open space. The open space for agricultural is not going to be the same as the open space for commercial.
Right. Should we just take the space of this separate open space zoning document to define what open space means? Maybe that's more ubiquitous between zones, between zoning categories, and then just in each zoning category, we just give the percentages there of what the town considers open space. Reference this document that says draft all over it as what we consider zoning open space, or zoning space in general, regardless of the zoning category, but the percentages are then listed out in each type of zoning category. That might be a cleaner way to do it. Just a thought.
Yeah, I agree. I think if that is the goal, if we want to have a separate open space section where we could, this could be a starting point for discussion, and then we would do just that, James, have each district have different percentages and just refer to this section for what counts, what doesn't count, how you access it, how it has to be maintained, all of that sort of stuff. But I think if this, obviously the PD district, we hope will go through council and get adopted within the next few months. And so my goal would be to at least have a few sort of bare minimum standards that we pull from this document and put in the PD district, and then just come back to the bulk of this later on. Okay.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I would certainly rather impose some guidelines on it versus not, in fear that maybe some moratorium ended before we could get this fully done, but yet we still had a little bit of protection built into the PD. 100% agree with that.
Right. Okay.
Okay, James.
Yes.
Hey, Reiert.
Wrong, James.
I'm not Jay. I'm Jay. I'm not James.
Yeah, excuse me. It's in there wrong. I know.
I mean, we know. No, it all sounds good to me. I agree.
All right. So if I'm understanding this correctly, Kelly, you want to put 5B, C, and D in there minus number 5 on D?
Correct. And then I think what we could do for E, rather than having that specific list, we could just say, or I guess in D, let's just specify in D that this is an exclusive list. If it's not listed here, it's not open space. And then we can probably not need to carry forward E.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to do 5B, C, D minus 5 and drop E. Did you get that, Dan? Was that
I did get it, yes.
Okay.
And we're to add that in the actual ordinance itself under the minimum open space requirement, and take the language that's currently there and replace?
we still have to specify it's 20%. Well, actually, it's other than that, no. You can just pull it over. Yes. We still need to discuss.
Is there a motion on the floor to approve that?
Not yet. I want to try to do the whole page, if you don't mind. The impervious service limitations. What are your feelings on non-converted upland, making it gross upland to being consistent with number 5? James?
Um, I I don't know. It seems that come back to me. Come back to me. Let me think on it for 1
Yeah.
second.
Yeah, he's got to get to the right page here.
Yeah, so
Isn't that by definition the same thing? What the way I understood Dan's discussion of gross upland, it's the same thing.
yeah, but why don't we just use the same language, gross
That's what I'm
upland?
saying. So
Yeah.
use gross
Yeah.
upland.
Of
Yeah,
gross
but it says
upland.
non-converted upland on number 6.
Yeah,
And-
one term instead of 3 or 4 would certainly be more concise.
Okay.
I think everybody's right about that.
Yeah, we're all on the same page on that. And then our planner's recommendation that we use a definition of Myrtle Beach as to what is an impervious surface limitations, and I'm particularly interested in what Jay has to say. That was on the last page of this document. And he put them under definitions to add to code, page 26 of 29. That's where he's highlighted them in front of you.
I think isn't it page 22? Oh,
The 22 is where we're looking at impervious surface limitations, but the definition that he wants is on page 26. There's definitions from Charleston, Bennettsville, and North Myrtle Beach.
I didn't get page 26.
No,
I've got page
it's
25 of 25.
Okay.
22 or 25. It's 22 or 25 on yours.
Right.
Jay.
Okay. Yeah.
The bottom 3 paragraphs.
Yeah, I like that definition.
The North
Okay,
Myrtle
Kelly?
Beach. North Myrtle Beach.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
Kelly?
Yeah, that's my preference. That's my preference as well. The North Myrtle
Jeff,
Beach
you said
definition.
yes?
Yes.
And James?
I like the North Myrtle Beach definition. However, I had one addition possibly to it. We've been doing some work recently in a town that that counts pavers and other such impervious surfaces differently than cement roofs, buildings, pool decks, these things. They have the impervious section surfaces listed in this North Myrtle Beach guideline as 100%, and then things like pavers and intentionally more pervious than asphalt options for ground cover counted as 50%, going towards that 60%. And I wonder if that's not worth thinking through. It might be more definitions that we want to do today, but I like that idea because certainly a paver patio, if it's installed correctly with the correct drainage under it, is going to be more of a watershed item than a asphalt.
Jay, you're the expert on this.
Well, I don't know if I'm an expert, but I think what you're kind of referring to is a semi-pervious.
Yes.
And since we're talking about us being a rural area, I think it's more restrictive to just go ahead. I don't think we ought to be giving them credit for those because most of them end up not working as designed or installed anyway. So I
Okay.
say let's call those impervious.
Yeah. Fine.
Okay. Dan, of those 3, 5, 6, and 7, 5 and 6 that we've been through, do you have it all, or do you want us to go over the language or changes again? What do you want to make this page clear to you, which is more important than the rest of us, and so that I can ask for a motion?
So I'll just read over what I have so far. So we would be taking the open space standards located on page 23 of 25 of this packet and including B standards for qualifications 5, lowercase b, lowercase c, lowercase d, with the exclusion of lowercase d5 in that, and adding that to item 5 on page 18 of your packet, minimum open space required, and still reading a PD shall contain a minimum of 20% open space of gross upland, remove developable area, open space, the open space. And then after that first sentence is when we would insert these requirements. I just want to ensure that that is the proper revision.
Kelly, is that what you had in mind?
That's correct.
All right, so what about the next one, impervious surfaces?
Yep. So the next one, the first item with that would change non-converted to gross upland. And then we would be adopting the North Myrtle Beach definition in section 153009, which is the current definition placeholder.
That was my understanding. Kelly?
Yep.
James?
Yeah, so that North Myrtle Beach definition is just going to be added to the end of the
Yep.
red wording in number 6. Okay, yeah, perfect.
Jeff?
I agree.
Jay?
Where did the 60%, where did we come up with that number?
We did it at our last meeting.
I forgot where. I mean, is that fairly standard across other municipalities, Dan?
I think it varies, with the intent of the PD to have both commercial and residential uses. I think the discussion last time was that 60 would be agreeable to achieve both of those, thinking holistically for the entire lot.
Yeah, yeah. So if we're talking about commercial in that PD, yeah, 60% would be. I was going to see if we could go lower, but I think I agree with you. I agree with the commission on that. All right.
To keep me on Catherine's good side, I would like to entertain a motion from a member of the committee to accept the changes that we have made on this current page 5 and 6 as recounted by Mr. O'Hara. Would someone make a motion so we can vote on it?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. We will move on to the next page. Minimum starts out with minimum number of vehicular access points. That's how it is. And I have only 2 comments on this page. 3. One is the second sentence of 7, new 7. It should be town or planning commission. I think that was just an omission. It's not town planning commission, town or planning commission. Or Dan, do you want to take the town out of it? I thought your intent was the town or planning commission.
I think that's correct. It might have been a Scribner's error when making those changes.
Okay. Now
I got a comment.
I would think it would just be the town. The planning
Right.
commission is not approving plan developments. It's a town council decision.
That's correct.
And in that same sentence, I would suggest that we delete "it feels it will help alleviate," so that sentence would read, "A second or more access point may be required by the town if the traffic study indicates a potential safety concern."
My only comment there was safety. If the traffic study has any concern, I think it would warrant our attention. Why does it have to be safety? Any concern on that traffic study? And as we
Sure.
know, the traffic studies coming from the state basically say everything's perfect, even though we might believe it isn't. So where the suggestions now are, Dan, if you got that? Safety gets
I did,
eliminated,
Jan.
and we have to sort of decide about town versus planning. So, James, what do you think about town versus planning?
Well, I just think in general, I don't know that we need to tie it to the traffic study indicates. I think it should just be a second or more access points may be required by the town council or planning commission, because if we're the ones that are really studying this in an effort to craft it to such a thing that is acceptable to the town, or why are we here, right? And then we present it to town council. So I think we should have both listed as or town council or planning commission, because ultimately we are the ones that should be drafting these things to send to council, because that's the point of having a planning commission in my mind. And then I don't think that it needs to have any connection with the traffic study necessarily, because whether the traffic study says it or whether we just look at the plan and realize that this is a poor plan without a second entrance, it should be up to us and the town council, not necessarily having to prove that the traffic study indicated its necessity.
Okay,
Yeah, I
we
don't
got the
see-
point. That you've gone full concurrency. That's the proposal before the state, which means that whatever the town thinks is right, and it doesn't matter what the state says. Jeff, what do you think?
Wait a minute. Say that again. I don't understand.
Oh, concurrency. It's a legislative thing right now. And actually Columbia is ahead of us and is using concurrency. It means that the town of Columbia thinks something isn't right and they want to put it in there. It doesn't matter what the state says. It's the town supposed to control things. Anyway, nothing to do with what your suggestion is, which is to take out the traffic study. Jeff.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to having the traffic study wording in there. I think that the traffic study could also indicate a second entrance or more.
All right, Kelly.
But are we bound to only make the decision if the traffic study indicates that it's necessary? And by
No.
this wording, it almost seems to me that we are.
Okay,
I would
well, each
agree
person's
I agree with
in
you,
general.
James. And I mean, you look at Mount Pleasant, you have a neighborhood like Rivertown that has one entrance in and out, and there are thousands of homes in there. And it seems like a traffic study would have expressed a potential safety concern there. So I would tend to agree with what you're saying. I disagree with leaving planning commission in there, because we make recommendations to the town council, but ultimately it would be town council that requires a second or more access point. But I do agree that maybe we should take out the traffic study.
Yeah. The reason that I said to leave the planning commission in there was I don't want our hands to be tied if some developer comes to us and says, it's not your business. You're not in here. It's only listing the town council as someone who's able to weigh into this.
No, it's the
I'd like to interject that the town has to approve everything that we do. So having us in
Obviously,
there
but
isn't
I don't want any
deleterious.
comments on our part to be not allowed or to be disregarded because it doesn't specifically say that we're on that list. We may as well leave us on there. That's my point.
We haven't heard from one person. Jay, what would you like, Jay?
okay, to that point, I think when you say the town, that by definition includes the planning commission because we're part of the town. And then I would say required by the town if it finds, not if it feels. If it finds, it will help alleviate a potential safety concern.
We got a Kelly.
We got to leave
here
feelings
now. Yes,
out of
you're
it.
right.
We got to leave feelings out of this.
Okay.
Agreed.
I think everybody's going to give you that one. Okay. Dan, where are you on the language of this thing? I think that we've agreed that it could just be town as long as we're part of the town, and take safety out of and take the traffic study out of this and take safety out of this. Did I miss anything?
I don't believe so.
So it would read,
It would
a
read,
second or more access point may be required by the town if there is a
If it
potential,
finds,
if it finds a potential safety issue.
if it
No.
finds, it will help alleviate
A potential concern.
safety concern.
Gotcha.
We took
yeah,
safety out.
potential concern, safety would be struck.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay.
I agree with that. If
Okay.
it says town and
let-
not town council, that gives any of us the right to
Yep.
weigh in on it.
All right, let's move on to 8. And Dan and I had a talk about this earlier. I think that what we have may have been just missed in the transcription, but we need to talk through this again. It's basically 2 types. residential and non-residential. That's all we need to put in there. We didn't need to put all the rest, and we took that out after considerable discussion. But I thought that single family detached and single family attached being townhouses and duplexes. I thought we'd also left in multifamily because this is a PD. This isn't a residential development. Small apartment building would not be out of place in a PD, but we need to go back to the committee, which we're doing now. Like, did we allow multifamily in PDs? We're not talking about residents. That's the next ordinance we're going to take. So single family detached, single family attached, and multifamily or no multifamily. Kelly.
I think it's fine to include any dwelling type. I mean, just because we put it in there doesn't mean that it's going to be feasible, right? I mean, we don't have sewers. We're not getting a big apartment complex. This could potentially accommodate maybe a triplex or a fourplex that would be more affordable. So I do think adding multifamily back is smart. I think it should list the dwelling types separately. Well, maybe not. So I find the way that it's written a little bit confusing. So it says a PD district may contain any mixture of land use types limited to. I don't know. It's just not clear to me from the way that it's written that it requires at least 2 dwelling types and non-residential uses.
Well, it's
So
gotta
I
be
think
two of some sort, something. So what else would it be?
agreed. Agreed, but I'm not sure that. I guess maybe the first sentence should say, maybe we should just say a PD district must contain at least 2 types of dwelling units and non-residential uses. And we can list the dwelling types. We can say single family detached, single family attached, multifamily, and I would add duplex back there because that's the way that it's written now would exclude a duplex.
All right, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I think that the point of it's achievable or not is irrelevant. So yeah, I'm not against putting those multifamily duplex back in there.
Yeah, I think it was there, but yes, I understand what you're saying. James.
Wouldn't duplexes are duplex something different than single family attached?
Yes. Under the
How's that?
building code, duplexes are different from townhouses.
Describe the difference to me if you wouldn't mind.
A single family attached, oh gosh, that has to be at least, I think it's 3 dwelling units in the building code.
I understand. Okay, I didn't know that there was a definition for specifying a minimum amount of units. That makes sense.
Neither did I. So Kelly educated 2 of us.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Jay.
I'm a little confused about multifamily. Is that not apartments?
It can
Could
be
be.
apartments. Yes.
How do
They're
you
gonna have to be small because of our
an
septic.
apartment complex on a septic tank?
It wouldn't be an apartment complex. It would be anything that's like a triplex or a quadplex. Like you could have not, how townhouses are individual buildings side by side with firewalls on fee simple lots, right? An apartment could be 2 apartments downstairs and 2 apartments upstairs that are not, that's all, the whole building is on one lot. So I don't, and I think we could maybe we specify that. Maybe we say triplexes and quadplexes instead of just blanket multifamily so that people don't get the idea that maybe we can do an apartment complex if we can figure out how to make it work on septic.
Yeah, I don't. That
What if
that just makes
if-
me makes me nervous when you start thinking about, if you could limit it to a number. But let me come back to this. We still get to decide whether it's a viable development. If somebody gives us something that's going to have too many units on one septic tank, we can always say no, right?
Correct.
But if we had the basis to say no, if our wording is too vague and we don't preclude something that they want, then it's just an opinion that we have and not necessarily something that we can go back to the code
And defend. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kelly, you said something about maybe limiting the number that would be in a multifamily unit.
Sure, I'd say don't say multifamily at all. Just say triplex and quadplex, and we'd add a
Okay.
definition of
All
those
right.
two types of dwellings.
Yeah,
Maybe we could
I
say,
like that better.
maybe A could say any two of the following dwelling types, and then below that in a subsection,
Mhm.
again, we could add single family detached, single family attached, duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, and no more, something to that effect.
Agreed.
Jeff?
Yeah, I like that.
Jeff?
I'm okay with that.
All right. Jay, you're okay with it?
Yes, sir.
Well, then, Dan, would you read back what you think we are trying to accomplish?
Good luck.
So
Yeah, good luck.
lowercase a would read, instead of 2 dwelling types, it should now be 3 dwelling types, or I guess it would change from, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dwelling types. Is that correct?
Two of the following.
Two of the following.
Because we don't
At-
have to
at
use
least
3 or 4
2.
different types of dwelling types.
There
That
has to
would
be at least 2. Yeah.
At least 2, not, you can't
2
specify 2. At
of
least 2.
the following. And the following are single family detached, single family attached, duplex, triplex, and quadplex.
Correct.
Right.
Let me
Jeff?
ask this. May I interject?
Sure.
What about single family that are more of a cottage style and then more of a larger scale? Would that not fit the definition of 2 different types?
You'd be referring to lot size, correct?
Not necessarily, but possibly. Yeah.
Is there a distinction? Help me out here, Jeff. What's the distinction that you're trying to make? And these are
Well,
two
I'm trying to
single
say
family.
that, you know, you like Sneed Farm, where you've got some smaller homes, single family homes on smaller lots, and then you have more estate lots in a same subdivision. And then you can also have non-residential. I mean, to me, that is also 2 types of residential dwellings.
Kelly?
It's going to come down to, I think, how you interpret the South Carolina Planning Act, because it says, and I'm probably paraphrasing here, but developments comprised of different types of and densities of dwelling units. So, I mean, I'm not sure that there's any guidance in the statute or in the Sinclair case as to what constitutes a different dwelling type.
Smaller
I
lot.
do. Yeah, I mean, but it's still it's still a detached house, right? I mean, the difference is lot size, not necessarily dwelling type. But that's just my opinion. I don't know that there is a right or a wrong answer necessarily
But to Jeff's point,
in terms of compliance with the state law.
to
Steve
Jeff's
Farm's
point, the
got some
density changes.
townhouses too, right?
Say it again.
Steve Farm's got some townhouses too, doesn't
They
it?
do have townhouses.
Yeah. So they've got many types.
I-
I'm having trouble on your lot size if it's still a single family thing. I don't know how we would put that in there. Would we specify the size of the lot or the percentage down? I'm just not sure how we'd word that.
I don't know how to word it either, but I see where you're coming from, Jeff, that the change in density is a change in housing type, because of the way that they're laid out. It seems like it should satisfy the state needs. Is that something we're worried about, is not complying with, Kelly, that's your main concern, not complying with the state statute?
Yes, but and there's not any guidance in the statute, but could we call it, maybe if we, instead of differentiating based on lot size, maybe we call them like cottage dwellings or patio homes or something like that to, patio homes, I don't know how often they're built anymore, but they were always, or zero lot line dwellings, maybe that's a better way to say, maybe that would be another way to distinguish them. I don't know.
Dan, help us out.
Personally, I had rather have cottage homes than townhomes if I were involved in that subdivision. I think the value stays, you have more return on investment. But I'm not opposed to a townhome. I just think we're kind of tying the developer's hands a little bit if he's wanting to do smaller cottage style homes and then graduate to bigger lots. If you have a large PD, it's a pretty natural progression.
Dan, how would you handle that if you got it? I mean, would you actually say that if there's difference, there's small lots and then large lots, would you allow that as a planner?
Well, it would depend on what the lot size requirements were in the density for that section. Theoretically, I have not reviewed a case like that yet. I would say though, perhaps we could lean into our adjoining municipalities and counties to look at how they handle this directly. I'm sure this is something that they've discussed and thought over before us, and we could potentially research into that a little bit and figure out what may make the most sense.
Well, and I would also request that our town attorney weigh in, since we denied a plat last time because it didn't meet the state enabling act. So I wonder if Mac might have an opinion here.
Yeah, can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
So just, and this is more of just a general observation. So a couple things. One, the town is not required to have a PD ordinance. So like, I get y'all are wanting to use these sparingly, but like, you don't even have to have a PD zoning district. You don't have to accept any PDs in the town, period, full stop. Number one. Number two, the whole purpose of PDs are designed to allow flexibility when the town wants to work with an applicant to do sort of bend the rules and create, something that doesn't necessarily comply with the zoning rules, but because they're doing this mixed use, you kind of can tweak the sizes and stuff. Having a PD ordinance like this specific, I've never seen one that's like this specific or speaks to every item, because it kind of goes against the whole purpose of a PD generally. Now, that said, what was the legal question you all wanted me to ultimately answer?
Yeah, answer the question, Mac.
Can somebody repeat the question?
I think the question is, the definition of planned development district in the Planning Act is a development project comprised of housing of different types and densities and of compatible commercial uses, blah, blah, blah. The question is a detached single family house on a small lot, like a cottage lot, and a detached single family house on an estate lot, an acre, 2 acres, 5 acres, are those different types of housing? Such that if somebody were trying to do a PD, they could have cottage lots, estate lots, and non-residential and be acceptable as a PD district.
So that is an unanswered question in the law. That case I brought up at the last planning commission meeting, which is the Sinclair versus Charleston County. That case, essentially, the judge is like, look, this isn't a PD because it's just residential. A PD is required to have, and they quote the statute, but they don't explain or define necessarily exactly what the statute means. I will tell you, it sort of depends on who you ask. Some, a lot of developers will tell you, or developers' lawyers will tell you that, look, we're doing all residential, but because we have ball fields or because we have a community mail center or a picnic area, that's a quote mixed use, because it's not all just residential houses, like single family residential housing. That hasn't been tested yet. I would be hesitant if I was advising a developer. As I understand it, it's got to be, residential, commercial, and there needs to be different, like different types of housing. Now, I think on that, that's how the statute is like read in its literal sense. But again, it's a gray area. I think as long as you do have a mixed use, you're probably okay. But I wouldn't go as far as some of these developers' lawyers that say, oh, by having some open space or having a community mail center, that's a mixed use. It's a long way of answering your question to say nobody really knows the answer.
Isn't the intent of the multiple residential uses to be able to hit different ownership points? Like an estate is a lot more expensive than a cottage property, so you'd kind of hit two different income levels there, and then you also have the non-residential use,
and you're hitting different densities, which the statute expressly calls for.
Yeah, again, Probably, but there's no like clear answer on this. Like I don't know that the legislature necessarily knew what they were doing when they were drafting a lot of the Section 94 Planning Act.
That's a
So,
general statement and it's true,
And-
but yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And Matt, question: when would it ever come into to call if we did put something like different sized lots? Would it be the general public coming after the town for allowing something that didn't quite fit? Would it be a developer coming after us saying that, you know what I mean? Where would the pinch be if we did something that wasn't expressly written out?
So, I mean, again, going back to sort of my opening, like general statement here, like you don't even have to have a PD ordinance. So like, I think it would be very difficult for somebody to sue you over your PD ordinance unless it was like facially discriminatory. Like if it discriminated against a protected class of people or something like that. But otherwise, like that's the point of a PD is you can require like it's only the only way a PD goes into effect is if a developer comes to you and asks for a PD and planning commission and council ultimately approves it as a zoning ordinance. And so it's essentially the developer's got to be agreeable to what's going before council and council has to adopt and approve it. Otherwise it's not going to be built. So my point is, I think there's like kind of further explaining or adding specificity to definitions under the Planning Act is probably fine. Like if you want to specify that like these different housing types are like, we're looking for that in order to qualify for a PD. You not only have to have residential and commercial and mixed uses, but you need to have, you know, single family duplexes, estate, whatever y'all want to do. I think you have that flexibility.
We only have to do, according to the state law, two types, residential and non-residential. And my initial question when I saw this thing was, why do we specify the dwelling types? Land use, residential and non-residential, and let it open to the planning commission after that. That's all the state 1994 state law says, residential, non-residential.
Well, it says housing of different types and densities. To me, that implies two or more types of housing in addition to the non-residential.
That sounds to me too.
Yep, but that's very vague.
I agree. I think it sounds like that we would have some potential room to define housing types how we think it should be defined. So I think just
Yes.
based on Mac's explanation, we could say an estate lot and a cottage lot, even if they have detached houses on them, are two different types of housing because they are different densities, they're potentially different price points, that sort of thing. So I think it sounds like we have the flexibility to do that, but I do
Yes.
read the statute to mean at least two types of housing.
That's how a lot of people read it. Not a lot of developers, lawyers, but a lot of people do read it that way. That's literally how it is worded. Like if you look at the way it's laid out in the sentence.
Why can't we just say that two types of houses and leave it and let it to our discretion once we review the PD?
We can.
That makes sense.
Because us trying to define all these little things, we may miss something,
No.
and then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
All right.
I kind of agree with that. I don't understand how what we've said would eliminate a cottage lot anyway, but why even try to specify everything that under the sun? You know, let the
That's a good point.
developer come show us what they want to do, and we'll tell we'll
So
either approve it
you're-
or not.
So what we're saying is just get rid of the parentheses items after 8A and just have 8A and 8B as they're written without any parentheses information after.
Correct.
Right.
I like
I
that.
would say I would change dwelling types to housing types for consistency with the statute.
Got it.
Okay.
All right. Now, the next one down is, well, old 8, current 9. The last sentence is redundant with no less than 20% of one use being proposed because it's on the prior page specified exactly. So we're just repeating it's number 4 on the page we just did before, mixed use standards. So I mean, we could leave it in there, but it's saying the same thing. I think it's
Yeah, I
unnecessary.
agree.
take it out.
Agree.
And then we get down to 12, which is lighting requirements. And we had kicked around 3000 Kelvin, but it is not there. I would like to read two sentences to you. 3000 Kelvin is the recommended maximum color temperature for outdoor lighting to protect dark skies, offering a warm white, slightly yellowish light that minimizes blue light pollution, glare, and disruption of ecosystems. This is right out of a dark sky ordinance. These lights must be fully shielded, directed light downward to preserve night sky visibility, reduce sky glow, and protect human sleep patterns. To me, that just tells us what a dark sky thing is, and that it's 3000 Kelvin is as hot as you want the lights. But I'm just suggesting that we say something like lights must have a color temperature of no greater than 3000 Kelvin, be fully shielded, directing light downward to preserve night sky visibility, reduce sky glow, and protect sleep patterns, as opposed to what we have here, which should include lighting and specifications. I don't know what those are. We're trying for black sky. Or do you folks see it differently? Or dark sky?
Aw.
I agree. I would not include sleep patterns. I would reference sky glow. What did you say? Well,
Night sky
I would get light,
visibility and sky glow.
and I would also add light trespass. Fully shielded lights help keep light where it's needed and not offsite. But yeah.
Okay, must be fully shielded, directed downward to preserve night sky visibility and reduce sky glow.
And light trespass.
And light trespass. Okay. Shining it onto your neighbor's property. Jeff.
I agree. I like it.
James.
I agree. I would like the 3000 number, and I just wanted to make sure it was the downward shielded, and you've covered that. So that's my.
Jay.
I'm fine with what y'all think on that one.
I can send you the language, Dan.
I'd appreciate that.
You probably have it. And on number 13, I just have what is probably a Scrivener's error. At the end of the second line, that must be recorded with, it should be recorded. That's it. That's what I have on this page. So now we're going to go down the list. Kelly.
We've covered everything I had.
Jeff.
I like it.
James.
I like it, but I wanted to, this is the one that Dan and I went over, and I was toying around with the idea, or considering the idea. It seems that it would be nice if we could somehow or another state our intent that it not be something that could be voted away by the board of the HOA as soon as they take hold of it, or something, that it should be to continue in perpetuity or something to that effect. Because I've seen in the past where HOA places can just change the rules as soon as they take ownership from the developer, and that would be against the intent of this.
Well, further down this document is that the standards cannot be changed. So we've got that in there, and it was the whole document. They can't do it.
I missed that spot.
Well, it's a zoning. I mean, zoning is law, right? So if the HOA allows them to do something different, then it'd be up to the town to enforce the provisions of the plan development ordinance.
Jay?
I'm fine with this page.
All right. Dan, would you read it back to us?
From
we
the
can vote.
beginning.
From 7. Don't invoke the Lord.
7 should read, the second line was modified to read, a second or more access point may be required by the town if it finds it will alleviate a potential concern.
Correct. Next one.
The next one should be modified, 8 under or lowercase a should read 2 housing types, excluding the parentheses language there, single family, detached, attached. moving down the list, the next one would be the lighting requirements. JD, you have that language with the
I do.
fully shielded down and then light trespass. Is that correct? Those were the modifications to the language that you read.
That's correct. What I didn't have is a light trespass. That came from Kelly. It sounds great to me. So I will just send you the language with that on the end of it.
Okay. And then finally, waste disposal, there were no, or one modification, the record should be recorded or should be changed to recorded. And then there was conversation about the perpetuity clause, but that was not decided on.
Well, we'll be getting to the perpetuity clause, which we didn't change in the past, and I strongly suspect we won't change at all. I would entertain a motion.
Point of clarification, please. Are you guys still going to strike the language on number 9, the redundant language?
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
Takia.
Thank you.
Nice catch, Takia. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the
I'm
changes.
sorry.
Go ahead.
On number 8,
Oh, boy.
the land use types, I think it should say a PD district must contain : A would be at least 2 housing types, and B, non-residential.
Jay, you okay with that?
What was the I thought
We're okay. It's a minor change by our
2 dwelling types. What, are we back up to that again?
No, we're
It's
working on grammar. That's all.
Okay, I'm fine with it. I'll trust Kelly.
Oh, okay. You got a carte blanche there, Kelly. Jeff?
All right, that's fine.
Okay. James?
Yep, sounds good.
So if I could have a motion to accept the page as modified, that'd be nice.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are on this page. It starts with other provisions at the top and then goes to zoning ordinance standards. I have nothing. Kelly?
Nope.
James?
Nothing.
Jeff?
Nothing.
Jay?
Nada.
I would accept the motion to accept this page as written.
So
I
moved.
move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next page starts with a proposed maximum land use. I have nothing.
I have a change at the bottom, the very bottom of page 21 of 25, where it starts section 153.050.
Mhm.
I think we need to strike master plan and call it PD map so that we're using consistent terminology throughout the ordinance.
That is correct. You
And then,
did change it to PD map earlier.
yes, and then anywhere in that section where it says master plan, change it to PD map.
James?
I agree with her.
Jeff, this is just anything on that page.
Nothing on that page.
Jay?
So all that a map is to me different than a plan. So
Well, so we've referred, let me find it. At the beginning, in the applicability section, it says a PD district is established by an amendment to the official zoning map that is defined by a PD plan and a PD map.
okay.
And I just found
So
something I'd strike on.
the map tells you where it is, but the plan tells you what's going to be done there. A
So
map and a plan are not the same. So
maybe a site plan, maybe we call it a PD site plan instead of a PD map.
That makes more sense. What?
a proposed site plan, the following shall be included in the proposed and I don't like the word proposed. I like new. Well, okay, in this case, proposed is okay. In the proposed site plan, Does it? What?
Mhm.
Well, we had PD map, we had master plan, and then PD map, and now we're on site plan. Help me out here. Where are we?
Yeah, I don't understand.
So let's,
What's the difference? What do we see the difference as?
all right, so we have PD text, right? Like, here's the setbacks, here's the uses that are allowed, and then we have a site plan.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we need to, maybe instead of maybe PD plan needs a different name and the site plan can be the site plan. So maybe we call it a PD document, a PD,
Context.
I don't know.
I think PD document is the best.
Yeah, to me, a PD site plan is a pictorial representation of the lot layout, the open space, the streets and everything.
Agree.
Yeah.
That's how I see that.
Which is a
And then
portion
what
of
you-
the PD plan,
I've
as Kelly was
typically heard it
describing.
I've typically heard of it referred to as like the PD document and then
Yeah.
the concept plan, like
Yeah.
that goes with it. It's because it shows like generally here's the commercial zone PD, here's the residential zone, here's open space, and it's subject to move based on language of the PD, et cetera. But PD map and concept plan. Why is the word development agreement used in 15346? Because a PD is much different than a development agreement. That word is what's causing me a little bit of heartburn.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we need to strike that.
I think the PD document includes plans, and I like what Mac has said there that we ought to call it the PD document.
All right.
The map
Jeff,
tells you
you okay
where it's located. That's all it tells you.
So, okay, PD document.
That's
Kelly, are you
that's
okay
part of
with
the
that?
site plan, Jay. Correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And Jeff,
Yeah.
are you okay with calling it document?
I am.
James?
Perfect.
Okay. Then that is a common consensus. Okay, James, what else do you have on that page?
I don't have anything else on that page. I just want to make sure that we go back and get rid of that development plan, as Mac just mentioned. And I don't know if now's if
We'll
we
do
need to
this
vote on
page,
that,
and
or
then
if Dan just.
we'll go back and find it
Okay.
because it's
I
going to
got
have
you.
to
Yeah,
be
nothing more on
projected.
this page.
Jeff,
Nothing else.
Jay,
Nothing else.
I entertain a motion to approve this page as revised.
I would just like to clarify for the record, we are striking the proposed changes from plan development document to plan development plan, back to plan development document, and referring to master plan contents as concept plan.
Are we talking about a different page? We're just talking about PD document for master plan on this page.
I think we have two
I think we are, yeah, we're talking about different things.
Two
So
different
I think
things.
let's come back to PD document. Let's stay
Okay.
on this page 21 of 25. We're going to strike master plan and call it either a PD site plan or a PD concept plan. What do y'all think?
I
Site
think a
plan.
PD site plan. Well, no,
Okay.
Site plan to me seems like it makes more sense to the people who are going to be following it, because that's a given term in our industry.
Jeff,
I agree. Site plan.
The only issue with the word site plan is a site plan, like in a pure planning sense, refers to a single lot, whereas a PD may have multiple parcels in it, and so instead of it being a site plan, it's gonna be like they're gonna submit for a subdivision plan.
how
That
about a
isn't-
development plan? Does that work?
Multiple-
A development plan? I mean, it's showing you how you're going to develop the whole PD.
I mean, PD plan's fine. Just and PD plan, PD documents. Two
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
so we're talking about, we're back to PD document?
Yes.
PD
and
plan.
PD plan. One's a yeah.
The development
the plan
plan
is the
is
pictorial.
part of the document.
Yes.
Okay, Dan, would you please read what you think we said?
So I think the current directive is for 153.050 is to strike master plan contents and replace it with plan development plan.
Document.
Yes.
Contents.
Development plan.
Contents. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll accept the motion.
I
So
move
moved.
that we finally accept this page and move on.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have you got where do we need to go back to? Because it appears that one of the pages that we voted on, we now want to change the verbiage on. Where is
So
that?
I think we need to go back to section 153.046 applicability, which is page 17 of 25. And in the very first paragraph, I think it's the second sentence,
Right.
we'll have
We got
a
it.
PD plan and a PD document, and we need to strike from that same sentence and a development agreement.
Very good, Kelly.
You got that, Dan?
Yes, I highlighted that change on the screen while I fumbled
Just
through the
define-
We
pages.
saw it.
And
Good.
eliminate where, that PD, it says PD map, that becomes PD document.
Oh, PD
Yeah.
plan.
Well,
Right? The
we
map
got
is the
both,
plan?
right?
We got both right there. PD plan and a PD map.
And a PD document,
Well,
or a PD, it should say PD document and a PD plan.
that's right.
Exactly.
So strike PD
Exactly.
map and make that PD documents.
And then we would need to, wherever those terms appear throughout this ordinance, we need to make them consistent with this.
So
Dan, are
we'd
you
be
okay with that?
replacing PD plan with PD document, and then PD map should be PD plan.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, you can do it that way.
And you'll use your search and replace function. It'll probably pick up everything else in the document that says the same thing. It's a nice Microsoft shortcut.
In striking, I would like to make sure that in keeping with striking development agreement from this page, on page 19 of 25, 14 references development agreement, just for planning commission's consideration.
I mean, that says the council may require. I'd like our attorney's input, because a development agreement is essentially a contract, so
Mhm.
I'm not sure if we need that there, if there's any harm in leaving that there.
I think that's good there because it addresses in the PD document.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically saying you can separately enter into a contract with the developer for items that aren't covered in a PD document. I don't think the ordinance needs to say that. Like you can do that anyways under state law currently. So it's just like, I don't know that there's no reason for y'all to say that because it's otherwise not prohibited. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Let's take it
So
out.
strike 14 altogether?
Yes.
Yes.
Because and just so y'all understand, it's like a PD under state law is a zoning ordinance. So like it is an ordinance that this body recommends and ultimately council adopts. It, for whatever reason, the legislature defined it also as a site-specific development plan, which it's unique in that it's the only ordinance or legislative thing that you can get locked in on. But it's vested for 2 years initially, and under y'all's new vested rights ordinance, maybe an additional 2 years. A development agreement, though, is the only true way to really lock in your zoning. And it, depends on your number of acres. A PD ultimately burns off when it's not vested, and you can legislate and amend it, cancel it, do what you want to do with it. Development agreement, once it's signed and that contract's locked in, you're stuck with it through the remainder of the development agreement period.
All right. So what I get
Other-
is that folks would like to delete 14.
Yes.
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 Okay. I would like to hear a motion to delete 14 in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, done. Now, where was that other change that we made? And we're gonna have to vote on that too.
Is
In
that in
the
reference to
applicability
the-
section.
Yeah,
the PD map and PD doc?
17, I think.
no, it's further on
Next
down.
page.
There you go.
Yep,
No,
yep, right there,
there.
right there.
Are we, I would entertain a motion that we accept the language as revised.
Well,
I make a motion that we amend the first paragraph in section 153.046 so that the second sentence reads PD document and a PD plan, and we strike and a development agreement, and then replace PD plan and PD map throughout the document for consistency with how we've changed it in the second sentence.
Is there a second?
Very well done. I second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Done. Okay. Now getting back to the last page, the final lap. The only thing I have on there is E, and I think conform should be plural. I'm doing my
Agree.
Kelly imitation. Has anybody got anything else?
That's all I
Yeah.
saw.
Yes.
So you guys asked me to redo K,
Yes, we did.
and I don't know where this original statement came from, but I tried to take it and put it in more. I think I took the intention of it and changed it a little bit. You ready to take dictation there, Dan?
I will do my best and ask for.
And I can send
language
it.
to be
I can send
provided.
it to you in a written form tomorrow if that'll be better. But here's what I'm proposing. See what you think. The stormwater management plan will include a topographical representation of the pre-development and post-development drainage characteristics. The post-development management plan shall incorporate best management practices, which include multiple drainage patterns, including existing natural systems within the site where possible. Consideration should be given to numerous smaller retention ponds and detention areas as opposed to less numerous large retention ponds. The management plan shall give consideration to drainage and potential issues or problems upstream and downstream of the site.
Is that the whole thing?
That's the whole thing.
Well, since you're a national consultant on this specific topic, I'm not going to add anything.
I don't do a lot of storm drainage now, but I've done enough.
Jeff,
I agree with that 100%.
James,
I agree. I just wonder, should we put at the discretion of the town to keep them from just doing 2 if it's obvious that it should have more like 3 or 4 if that's the intent? Over, when I see it numerous and one large pond, it makes me think that, numerous, somebody could say 2 is numerous compared to 1, and I don't know exactly what we're after, but
I said
that
to
necessary?
less numerous larger retention ponds. This just kind of gives them our guidelines, what we're looking for, and then ultimately we decide when we look at the plan development plan.
Sounds good. I just don't want to be hemmed in by anything.
Kelly,
I don't think it will be.
Okay.
Kelly.
I just have a couple of edits in E, so you've added S to conform. I would change ordinances to sections. So it says the standards of sections 153, 195, and 196. In F, I would use the term color instead of colored. So remove the ED on that. Same thing in J, make it a colored landscape plan, remove the word master. And also replace ordinances in J with sections.
Dan, is that okay? You okay with sections?
I got sections, color for F, and then color in J, and then instead of ordinances in J, it's sections.
Yes,
She had
and
removed the
also
word master in J.
yes,
I'm sorry, what was that?
remove the word master in J as well, so it reads a color landscape plan.
Got it. I have those revisions.
Well, thank you.
One point of clarification for the stormwater. There are 2 K stormwaters in this document. There's one on page 22, and then there's also on page 17 at the top. Jay, were your proposed edits to page 17 or page 22?
Let me look at,
both?
it's page 22, but let me look back at what's on page 17.
Yeah, it
Do we
was
need to say it
22.
twice?
Can we see 17? I mean,
Yes.
the other one?
Go into that. Oh, there it is right there. It just makes a
That's just
reference to
the
stormwater
purpose
there.
section.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's just the
that's-
purpose section. I would leave that as
Yeah,
Well,
is.
leave that the way it
fine.
is.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
May I entertain a motion to approve our last page as revised?
So moved.
All, second, someone,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, two things. One is the admonition to stay safe and warm this weekend, particularly Saturday. And there's something that I hate to bring up, but I'm going to have to, commissioners.
Point of clarification, are we moving forward with the PD document? And then we also have the new business item as well.
Yes, we
Mhm.
do.
H.
Yeah, that I've got, but I would entertain a motion to approve the entire document as revised by the committee. Because we've approved each one of the pages.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Catherine, have we left anything else regarding this PD?
No, sir.
All right. We have we've had the public hearing and we've heard no comments were submitted at that public hearing. And we've heard our staff presentations and we've heard that so far with them, there are no objections and that the three renamings, Settlers Bluff Way, Rokesha Drive, and Finnegan's Way are meet all the requirements, and we've heard no objections. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
So I'm sorry, I was late. We had a septic emergency at my house, unfortunately. There was 5 and now there's 3. Did I miss why we changed from 5 to 3?
They haven't completed their documentation.
Gotcha. Awesome. Sorry.
We will proceed when staff tell us to, and not until then, because they have they do a lot of work on this.
Hmm.
Okay, entertain a motion that we approve these 3 name changes.
So moved. James Gardner.
Got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Closing remarks. Nothing changed about this Saturday. It sounds grim, but to the commission members, and with great condolences to our hardworking staff, next month we may be looking at 2 meetings unless we want to have one very long one. At the present, we're looking at 1 preliminary plat, 2 conditional plats, and another plat that needs a revision because of a wetland issue. That's 4 plats. We all have a vivid memory of our last plat discussion. We also will be processing ordinances that have been passed on the first reading by council involving dark skies, wetlands, and septics. And I think, given the expertise on this committee, we will probably, as we did with the tree ordinance, spend considerable time on wetlands and septics. I think doing that all in one meeting, and I'd be glad to run a 4-hour meeting or plus, is a bit much. And I'm going to ask Takia to send you out an email regarding if you would agree to have a second meeting, and then what dates would be open to you. What would you prefer? We have a regular meeting that month. And if you guys and gals say, hey, we'll do it we'll do our whatever we need. Maybe these plats will be easy, but hadn't been so far. We'll do it in one. And if not, we will have two, or we can do one with the two as the backup. Anyway, you'll be getting that that polite letter from Takia, and I appreciate your feedback. And I'm just going to say in advance, I am sorry, but things are very busy on the Planning Commission and with our group. Not only are we trying to process ordinances, but we're taking care of the routine work. And the routine work is what our staff do most of the time, and we run these ordinances on them. But that's just the way it's going to have to be, because our town needs the ordinances rewritten. And we've now done 3. We've done parks, we've done conservation, and we've done plan development. We have some more to do. The next ones will be residential, but we will not talk about them next month. We will talk about them the following month. All right? I would entertain a motion to close this meeting and let people go eat, drink, or whatever else they want to do.
So move, James Gardner.
Second?
Second.
I knew there'd be somebody else who'd want to end this thing. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? God
Thanks,
bless
guys.
and good night, folks.
Have a good night.
Have a good evening.